All right, what is up, everybody? Divine Hood here, coming at you with another daily update on Bitcoin and the crypto markets. Okay, guys, so Bitcoin got a nice bounce up today on the FOMC meeting. Now, the FOMC meeting, the Fed did cut rates by 25 basis points, which was expected. Now, I do want to give you guys a warning about this. Yes, the Fed cut rates as expected, and the summary of economic projections is now projecting 3 rate cuts by the end of the year instead of 2.5, which was priorly projected, which I don't even understand that completely, but let's just say 3 instead of 2. And that is a little bit of a bullish signal for the risk on assets, including crypto. But I will say this, we have been pumping very slowly and methodically up and not very impulsive price action here. And one of the things that we see is we see euphoria from retail as soon as the announcement of a rate cut happens. We see the retail long the market, thinking that okay, now a bunch of money is about to come into the altcoins, come into the Bitcoin, into risk on assets. And what market makers like to do is they like to let it run, let people get long, and then when we come up into resistance, we can see a bit of a dump and a trap because we know that that money is not going to start circulating into the market for a little bit. It's going to take time for that money to start circulating into the market. So just I want to let you be aware that we could see some traps by market makers in the next week or so. Now, yes, the markets are pumping now, but we really need to be vigilant when we get up to resistance. If we're continuing to see bear divs on the chart here coming up into our resistance, it could be a nice trap laid out to wreck a lot of retail traders that are just longing headline news of basis point rate cuts. And but let's go into the technical analysis here. So you can see Bitcoin has been ranging around our purple box of resistance, which was that naked monthly point of control. A daily level was up there at about 116.9. And we're just kind of slowly pushing our way up to our next real box of resistance. Now, this is the main resistance above us, where if we can get above this resistance, then Bitcoin does have a high probability that this was the overall bottom on Bitcoin, and we are going to soar to new all-time highs. But let's talk about that for a second real quick, because we've been talking on more macro price action. Bitcoin is more bullish on macro price action. And why do I say that? Let's zoom out to the daily chart. And we have our 2025 fair value for Bitcoin, which is this range here. This is considered the fair value, which the point of control is considered the absolute fair value. When you're at the value area high, it's considered overvalued, and the value area low is considered undervalued. Well, we were able to, a few weeks ago or a few months ago, back in July, early July, break above the value area high of that 2025 fair value for Bitcoin. We came into new levels of price discovery, made a couple new all-time highs, and after making a couple new all-time highs, in a healthy market, oftentimes you will retrace back to what used to be considered overvalued. And if it holds as support, that means the market is now accepting the fair value for Bitcoin at higher prices, and we will continue the bullish momentum up to make new all-time highs, or up to make new highs. So overall, when we did come down to this box, this resistance down, or this support, excuse me, down here, we had that support laid out ahead of time, and we did look for long opportunities in this area here. And back then, the value area low, value area high was a little bit lower. We did wick a little bit past it, but we did have some other key resistance down there, specifically that pitchfork midline, where we bounced perfectly from the pitchfork midline here. And we talked about how the last time we bounced from the pitchfork midline, we saw a very big impulsive price action to the upside. So there is a potential that the low is in, and that we are going to start to really push up to new all-time highs. But this, as far as this entire impulse from 74K, looks like we had a 3-wave correction in here that was about a $14,000 drop. And now with this drop that we've had about a month ago, this drop here, we broke market structure bearishly on the daily time frame. Because we have broken market structure bearishly on the daily time frame, we do need to be aware that we could put in a lower high, so market structure break. Since we broke market structure bearishly, there is a greater possibility, as far as market structure technical analysis goes, of creating a lower high before rolling over and creating another lower low, and creating that 3-wave zigzag correction that you often see in bigger corrections. So the key area of interest for me is about that 117.8K. Let's go up here. 117.8K to about 118.5. Let me hide this here. Let's clean up this chart, which is that purple box of resistance. That is our, we have a lot of resistance up in this area here. We have a golden pocket. We have a point of control. We have a naked weekly point of control. We have a naked daily point of control and a swing failure pattern of these internal highs, which we have not taken that liquidity yet. So I am looking for a potential three-wave corrective move where we come up to that golden pocket, which is the most common area to reject on a lower high, to come down one more time, even if it's just to grab our lows here, grab the liquidity of the lows, see a flat correction, and then continue pushing back up here. But I do think overall the higher perspective on Bitcoin, because we did bounce from macro support and we are pushing back up, we have to remain bullish overall for new all-time highs eventually. That doesn't mean that we won't see this three-wave correction first and then get new all-time highs. We do have a lot of bearish signals on the chart. If we zoom out, well, first of all, let's stick on the daily time frame here. And on the daily time frame, since we've made our first new, really big new all-time high after breaking out of the 2025 fair value, which is this 109K area right here, you can see that we have made significant bear divs on the chart on the daily time frame. Higher highs, lower highs here, and then we now are forming a trigger wave, which is another lower high on the charts. But the big thing is money flow has been draining out of the asset and now crossing into the red since we've formed our first attempt to break out above that all-time high, or value area high, excuse me. And so we have to be aware, because we're seeing bearish signals on the chart. Like if we go to the 8-hour chart, on the 8-hour chart, we are now again forming bearish divergences here. Higher highs in the price action because we did make new highs yesterday, lower highs in the momentum waves, and our money flow is curving over. Also, NAMI has confirmed those bear divs, and if we look here, money flow is draining out of the asset on NAMI, which is a bit faster than Market Cipher B as far as the money flow reaction. It's the 4-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, we have the multiple drives of bearish div here. Now, money flow does look pretty decent, but we do have multiple drives of bear div on NAMI and Market Cipher B, and we also have bearish divergence on the money flow on NAMI. So I am not shorting now, but if we do get up to that 118K area of resistance with continued bear divs, I will attempt a short position. The one thing that we are seeing is we did see a pretty bullish reaction today from the FOMC meeting. We saw an initial dump today going into that FOMC meeting. You can see here, going into the FOMC meeting in the morning, we dumped down. We touched value area low again, and actually a little bit of this was right after the start of the FOMC. So it was leading into FOMC, and then the dump as soon as Jerome Powell started speaking. We bounced from the value area low of our local range again. This range, it's about 6-day range now because it's from last Thursday. So the range that Bitcoin's been in for 6 days, kind of a holding pattern, waiting for the news to come out today. And we are attempting to break out of the value area high of the range again. We are seeing what we're seeing, the push up that we're seeing right now locally is a short squeeze. So let me go on to our open interest charts here, our open interest and CVD charts, our order flow. And I want to talk about this local price action that we've seen today. So this was that push down that we saw leading up into FOMC. Of course, all of this was the volatility of the actual announcement and the talk afterwards. But you can see here, going into FOMC, we did have, actually right after FOMC, we had a lot of short positions coming in. CVD dropping lower means we had a lot of market shorters shorting the market. And you can see they were actually shorting the market towards the bottom here. And we know those were brand new short positions coming in because our open interest is increasing. All that open interest is it's measuring the amount of new positions that are opening or closing in the market. If open interest is increasing, that means new positions are opening. If open interest is decreasing, that means positions are closing. So what we saw here is a lot of shorters coming in around the bottom of today's price action into that value area low. Look at all these brand new shorters shorting all the way to about right here. And what we're seeing in this last push up here is just a short squeeze. And why? So you can see open interest is dropping because we're squeezing those late shorters out of the market. And we're seeing, and that's why we also saw a little bit of a rise in the CVD here, because a forced market close on a short is a market long position. And so this push up has been a short squeeze. Now, a short squeeze can continue here, but I will say this, anytime you see a short squeeze, and if new positions don't come in to support that short squeeze, you can reverse right back down after taking that, after that squeeze ends. And we are coming right now to backtest our local value area high of our 6-day range. So if Bitcoin is going to remain bullish here, we want to see us bounce from this value area high, hold it as support, and then continue up to our next resistance. Now, if we do that, we will watch for those continued bearish divs developing on the chart. You can see here on the hourly chart locally, we did confirm bear divs earlier today, and that's what gave us that little bit of a drop. We confirmed the bear divs, gave us a little bit of a drop. But our money flow, since we've been in this 6-day range, since last Thursday, you can see right here, money flow has been leaving the asset as this range forms. Anytime you form a mini range and money flow is continually draining out of the asset as that range forms, be aware of fake breakouts to the upside and then a dump. Fake breakout to come to hit bigger resistance and then a bigger dump. So I just want to give this warning that it is a real possibility. We could be having a major trap set up by the market makers. And overall, Bitcoin didn't see much of a move today on FOMC, but we are attempting to break our local range and continue up to next resistance. Now, I do want to talk about, before I talk about Bitcoin dominance, I want to just announce the partners of the channel. The first and major partner of the channel is BYDFI. They are a VPN and KYC free exchange. All you need is an email and a password to sign up. If you want to sign up with BYDFI using my affiliate link, you can get a 20% discount on trading fees. And also those discounts on trading fees do get higher the more you deposit. You'll get a 50% deposit bonus. If you just deposit $100, you'll get 50% bonus. And then they're offering various 10 to 20% deposit bonuses depending on how much you deposit. That's going through September 30th. They also offer up to $8,100 in futures trading bonuses depending on how much volume you move in your futures markets. And then lastly, I have partnered with BYDFI to create a Telegram community where I do give some of my trade setups, some of my analysis on the market. If you're interested in joining that Telegram community, the link is in the description. You do have to sign up through BYDFI with my affiliate link because this is a partner thing that we're doing with BYDFI here. And if you sign up with my affiliate link and you deposit $100, that $100 is still your money to trade with. It's just you're using that exchange. You will get the 50% deposit bonus. Then you can get access to that Telegram community where I do post those trade setups. We posted a nice long on Ethereum today. If you want, once you get into that Telegram group, you have to type in /verify and then your user ID, which is this little guy here, and that'll automatically get you into that Telegram community. After that, you're in. And the next partner of the channel is going to be NAMI Trading. NAMI is a momentum and money flow indicator that I use for entry and exit confirmations. You see in every single one of these videos, I show you guys bearish divergences and money flow divergences based off NAMI and Market Cipher B. So if you're interested in purchasing NAMI, the link is in the description. They're also running a 50% off special if you use my affiliate link. Divine50 is the discount code. Both the link and the discount code are in the description. And then lastly, we do have MEXC and Bybit. Those are both very reputable exchanges with low fees. They do give discounts on trading fees if you sign up with my links, and you can get bonuses there as well. Okay, let's get back to the TA and let's go into Bitcoin dominance because Bitcoin dominance is doing something very, very interesting here. And you can see we're rejecting from the channel after losing it. So let me zoom out here on Bitcoin dominance and we'll talk about what happened. Let's actually zoom out to the daily time frame and we'll talk about the larger Bitcoin dominance. So we were in a 2.5-year long trend, this channel. We hit the top of the channel. We lost market structure, bullish market structure. We broke daily bullish market structure by breaking the 61.89% low. After breaking it, we bounced from the bottom of the channel. We attempted to reclaim that. Once we failed, we saw the real breakdown of this 2.5-year long trend. We broke down past the golden pocket. Now, anytime you break down past a golden pocket support, now that golden pocket was pulled from this low. That was a bounce from a major weekly channel midline to our highs here. If you break down through the golden pocket, you need to be aware of a back test of that golden pocket as resistance. And if you do reject that, then you do expect new lows to come in on the charts. Well, we were also forming this sort of bear flag, this big pull, and then here was your flag area. And I talked about this in last week's streams, that if we could not reclaim this, and if we break this smaller channel down, then we will at least come hit the 786. But in my opinion, we could see dominance fall to about 55.1%, where that channel, that weekly channel midline is again. Well, if now let's go ahead and zoom in on the chart here. Let's zoom into the 2-hour time frame. And this is that small flag channel. You can see we've been following this all last week. Well, we broke it down on last weekend, Friday and Saturday. Throughout this week so far, we have been rising to it, but today we came up and we rejected from the bearish backtest of that channel. Now, if we would have got back in that channel, it would have been a bullish scenario and we might have reclaimed the golden pocket and continued pushing higher on dominance. But we lost the channel. After losing the channel, we came up bearishly backtested, had a perfect rejection here, and now we're dropping hard. So what does this mean for the altcoins? That means the altcoins are going to be pumping against Bitcoin. And if we look at a lot of the altcoins right now, the altcoins are pumping far harder because retail now thinks it's altcoin season now that the rate cuts have started. So we could see altcoins really take off in the next couple of weeks against Bitcoin. Unless Bitcoin rises to and it rejects from 118K, we do need to be aware of that, because if we see a major rejection from 118K, the altcoins also might reject from resistances above. But right now we are seeing altcoins pump and continue, and I do think this dominance is going to continue dropping at least to the 786 Fibonacci below us, but most likely to about that 55.1, 55.2 percentage point of the Bitcoin dominance. And I do think altcoins are going to run against Bitcoin. Now, we could see Bitcoin range a little bit more for another week. If we go back to Bitcoin, we're in this range since Thursday, this very local range that we've been in here since Thursday. It could continue last Thursday, excuse me. It could continue to range for a bit, then come up to 118K. We could reject from 118K based off the bearish signals we're seeing on the chart. But I am looking for altcoins. That's why I did long Ethereum earlier today. We'll actually go into Ethereum now. Yesterday in the live stream, we covered for Ethereum the local targets. Now, this box was not from yesterday. I posted this today in the Telegram. This is a new resistance that I'm looking at here. So let me hide this box for a second. Let me hide this golden pocket for a second. What we've been watching on Ethereum is this bigger range that we've been in. Let me grab this and pull this all the way. So we have our range that we've been in for about a month. This bigger range. Let me get rid of this guy. Actually, I'm not going to get rid of that yet. So within our bigger range, we had a smaller bottoming range down here. And we talked about in yesterday's live stream, after front running the weekly level and front running our 786 resistance above us, we had lost our pitchfork, back tested that pitchfork, and fell back inside our volume profile of our month-long range. Well, we were looking, if we pulled the Fibonacci from our last big low here to that high, we were looking yesterday at our golden pocket support, which was in confluence with your small range value area low. And so yesterday in the stream, I gave this as a local support level where if we do continue dropping down to that support level with bullish divergences, then I will look for a long position. Well, we came down there during FOMC. We came down there after, while Jerome Powell was talking. We came down there. We actually touched the golden pocket. Now, yesterday in the live stream, I said I'm not long yet because you can see we actually did not touch that golden pocket yet. Let me fix this box and you will see that we actually did not touch the golden pocket. We had front run the gold. So I wanted to see more of a grind. I talked about this in yesterday's live stream. Maybe more of a grind, one more push down to create those bull divs. Well, we created a triple drive of bull div on the 2-hour time frame, and our money flow was starting to look bottomed here on the 2-hour. But if we go on to like the 1-hour chart, you can see that the money flow was already nicely curving to the upside here. So we had confirmations to enter that long trade at that local level of support that we talked about in yesterday's stream. So I did enter long from this golden pocket, and I am going to be looking for on this trade to come up to this weekly level that was front run. That's going to be my TP2. Now, I just hit a box on the chart. My TP1 for this trade, if we pull a golden pocket from the highs of last Friday to the lows that we made today, you can see that our golden pocket is coming in right at the top of the pitchfork, and our value area high is very close underneath, which we just hit just now, or we're pretty much hitting into right now. So this area for me is going to be a TP1 where I will take out a little bit, probably 25% of the long position from this area down here. TP1 25%, because now that we have fallen back inside our month long, let me get rid of this now. Now that we have fallen back inside our month long volume profile, there's a potential that you could reject from this area, confirming re-entry back into that volume profile and continue to drop to your next level of support, which is that weekly in confluence with the point of control. This area, and I talked about this, is the next support area. Let's make that green. That is the next support area. I talked about that yesterday in the live stream as well. So I am going to take some profit at this area just as a precaution because we have re-entered the volume profile. We also talked about, as far as more macro price action goes, Ethereum could be forming a head and shoulders topping pattern or a distribution pattern at the top of a major pitchfork. And I went in depth on this yesterday in the live stream. So if you want, go check that out in the live stream. But we are at the top of a macro pitchfork and often form a bit of a range here, a distribution range, and then you could see a breakdown of that range to come to our bigger levels of support below. But once, just like I talked about in yesterday's live stream, if we do break this range down, I will be looking for a bounce from the 382 to the pitchfork to make new all-time highs, or if we continue down, even better, to the 0.5 around 35.34 to about 34.89, where we have our macro 4-year long value area high. We have our 0.5, which is our wave 4 retrace target, because we're looking for a bigger 3-wave correction down to either the 382 or to the 0.5. So if we bounce from either of these two targets, I will be looking for swing long opportunities for new breakouts in Ethereum. But more locally, we could be looking at a bigger 3-wave corrective move down. So because of that, and because we have re-entered back inside of this volume profile, I am playing this long that we took today as a scalp long opportunity, where either coming up to here, rejecting and continuing down, or even coming up to here, making that still head and shoulders type pattern, maybe forming some bear divs up here, hitting into the weekly, taking the liquidity from last week, and then seeing the big drop. So that is kind of what I'm looking at for Ethereum over the next weeks, months here, couple weeks and months. The Ethereum price, let's go zoom out to the 8-hour chart here. And Ethereum is looking still, it's not looking as bad now. Money flow is crossing back into the green again, and we did get that 8-hour green dot. We did print a hidden bullish div earlier today on that low of support where we did take the long position at this local golden pocket. So that in some ways does give us a signal that we might at least continue up to take out that weekly, to hit that weekly resistance. But we do still have, since Ethereum back tested the macro value area high back in late or early August, we are forming some pretty massive bear divs on the chart here, and money flow has been draining consistently out of the asset. And so we are forming that same kind of distribution type range that we see in these upper ranges. If you see money flow consistently draining out as a range is forming, it could give you a little bit of a bias that this is a distribution range and we're going to break that range down. Also, as far as our Elliott wave analysis goes, we know that this could be the top of our wave 3, and we could now be expecting a bigger 3-wave corrective move, a zigzag correction down to our 382 or down to our 0.5, which is your wave 4 targets, to continue pushing up in one last impulse in a wave 5, up to 5, maybe even 6,000, 7,000. But that is kind of what I'm looking at on Ethereum. Locally on Ethereum, we are coming up to our local resistance. I am going to take some profit. If we look at our naked daily point of controls on Ethereum, let's let this load up. Come on. We do have a new naked daily point of control below us, and we also have this naked daily point of control. So I would actually say this box of support, I'm actually going to throw this up to the naked daily, and then we'll bring it to the POC. So this is the next level of support if we lose this golden pocket and the support that we longed from earlier today. You can also see that long that we longed from earlier today. There was a naked daily point of control that we hit in the day before on Tuesday. So we wanted to see, it was still a volume level of support down there, even though it had been tapped the day before. And above us, the naked daily point of control above us, we do have one before we hit that weekly. But to me, this is not as significant, because if we get up that high, we're going to be hitting into that 886 Fibonacci, which does give us a higher probability of taking out You see that 886 Fibonacci is up there. And there is a potential you could see a small rejection from there. Say we do something like this, you could see a small rejection from the 886 and the naked daily point of control, and then continue up to take that liquidity into the weekly, and then see your bigger breakdown. But Ethereum, I am long on Ethereum, gave you my TP1, gave you my TP2. And then if we break above the weekly, new all-time highs are coming right now. And maybe our wave 3 is not over. Our big weekly impulse wave 3 is not over. But we did break market structure bearishly, and this has all been bearish market structure. Go watch yesterday's live stream, and that's why I am leaning on maybe seeing another wave down, another push down here, especially if Bitcoin gets that trap. Okay, that's it for Ethereum. Let's now go on to Solana here. On Solana, we are pushing up into our local level of resistance. Now, I did post in the Telegram that we are hitting that resistance, but I am not short yet. I am still, I have not shorted Solana, but just like Ethereum, Solana is hitting into the top of a pretty big pitchfork here. You can see that we attempted to break out of that pitchfork, got a little bit of a failed auction here, fell back inside the pitchfork, back tested that pitchfork, and then made new lows of the range. We did come down to our 382 level. Remember, I was looking on the stream between the 382 and the 0.5. If we take that, if we look at that impulse that we talked about yesterday, this is a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5, potentially coming up to actually hit our big box of resistance. But if we take a Fibonacci from the lows of wave 3 to the highs of wave 3, and we turn on those wave 4 targets between the 382 and the 0.5. Well, the other day I did tell you guys we were bouncing from the 382, and this could be it for the wave 4. Those are your common targets between the 382 and the 0.5. So we did come down to that 382. We're bouncing. If we can start to reclaim our local resistance that we're at now, of course we're going to come up to the next resistance. So we're at resistance on Solana. We did bounce from our wave 4 target. I would have liked to see, actually, I still would like to see a bigger 3-wave correction to come actually down to 225, where we would actually be bouncing from the pitchfork upper band after rejecting from the top of the pitchfork. We could see one more move down to 225. And if we come down to 225, I'll be looking for longs at least up to that 255 level, 252 to 258, or 256, excuse me, where we do have a lot of confluence of resistance that I talked about in depth on yesterday's stream. So if you want to check that out, go check out yesterday's stream. But locally, Solana's pumping nicely. We did hit the 382. We are coming up to our resistance right now. The reason I have not shorted this yet, we hit our naked daily point of control, we hit our 786, and we hit the pitchfork again. But we do not really have bear divs on the chart. Money flow is rising here, about to cross over into the green on Market Cipher B, and there's no bear divs. On NAMI, money flow is looking strong, and we do not have bear divs. Now, let's zoom into the 15-minute chart, because what I said in the Telegram earlier today is I want to see a bit of a range form, a very local range form in here now, and get maybe one more high to be made, creating local bearish divs with money flow now coming down in order to short. Right now, we are not seeing that. You can see here, no bear divs on the chart. Money flow looks bullish here on the 15-minute. Money flow looks pretty bullish here on the 15-minute. No bear divs yet. So I have not shorted, even though we're at the local resistance where we could see a bigger move down to 225. I have not shorted this yet because we are not seeing confirmation to short. Let's zoom in on the 5-minute. I haven't checked the 5-minute. 5-minute money flow still looks bullish. So even if we were seeing some bear divs, that money flow is going to overpower that. And actually on NAMI, we are locally seeing some bear divs, but a 5-minute bear div is not enough for me. I need more confirmation here. So I want to see a bit of a range form in here, and maybe later on this evening or tomorrow morning, if we're still at this area and continuing to form bear divs locally and money flow is topping out and coming down locally, I will look for a short. But right now, I just don't have confirmation. And if we break above this level, I'm just going to be simply waiting until we get to our next resistance level, which is between 252 and 256, where we do have a lot of confluence of resistance, including this 786 Fibonacci here. We have a 786. We have a naked weekly point of control. We have a lot of levels there. Weekly level at 252.34, right on top of the 786. We have a daily level at 256. We have a naked weekly point of control at 256. We have a naked daily point, not naked daily, and I do believe a liquidity grab up there. Or let's see, there was a lot of confluence up there. So that is our level to be looking for. No liquidity grab. But that's our next level of resistance, is this box area here. Naked monthly point of control, I think it was. Yeah, naked monthly at 256 as well. So honestly, there's two the 252 is the weekly and the 786. But to me, the stronger level is our naked monthly point of control, our naked weekly point of control, and our daily at 256. But for Solana, we're at local resistance. We're at the top of the big pitchfork. This pitchfork here, you can see we bounced from the midline and we bounced from the bottom of the band here. We did long this here. And so now I'm going to be looking for that push up to our next resistance if we can break out of this pitchfork. We do need to be aware that we have been forming some pretty massive bear divs here on the chart on larger time frames. So if we come up to hit 252 to 256 with continued bear divs, I will be looking for a short position. And I will be looking at it as a scalp at first to continue the overall bullish momentum, but I will be looking for a short there if we have confirmed bear divs on the chart. Okay, but that's about it for Solana. I mean, we're just at our local resistance. You can pull your local range, this local upper range that we've been in since last Thursday, just like Bitcoin, a 6-day range going on 7 days. And you can see we're breaking out of the value area high right now. And also one of the reasons why I haven't shorted is because look at what happened here very locally. Broke out of the value area high. We hit our resistance, but we came back and back tested that value area high on very low time frames, like the 5-minute, and we're maintaining above it. So I want to see a range form here. I want to see bear divs form here. And ideally, we want to lose and fall back inside this volume profile. That would trigger a really nice short position if you reject from that area, fall back inside that volume profile, stop above the high, and I would be really targeting 225 down here. Very nice risk reward ratio on a scalp short position, getting that bigger 3-wave corrective move down, and then seeing the pump from 225 up to at least 256, but probably higher overall. That's it for Solana. Now let's go ahead and move on to SUI. SUI is nicely pumping today as well off the FOMC. And remember earlier in the video, I talked about Bitcoin dominance is dropping. So the altcoins are going to be pumping harder than Bitcoin because we are seeing dominance dropping. Let's zoom out onto the 8-hour on SUI. And the other day, we came down, and I talked about this during that video on Monday. We were at our support level, being the double point of control, the point of control of our descending channel corrective range and our much larger range point of control that goes all the way back to November of 2024. Well, we came down, we rejected pretty much from the top of the channel, came down to that point of control, bounced from that point of control, which was our support level, and now we're attempting to break out of that channel again. After already seeing one fake out and front running our resistance that was just above us, I do think that SUI is going to continue pumping now to our resistance above, where we do have the value area high of our range that goes back to July 11th. So, July, August, September. It's a 2-month range here we've been in. And now that we're breaking out of this channel with a nice volume imbalance candle to the upside, I do think we are going to continue. Also, money flow looks very bullish here. I do think SUI is going to continue up to that $3.93 to about $4 area of resistance. We do have some nice levels on SUI. Let's see what was it? A naked weekly point of control at 4019. We have a not naked monthly. Oh, that's right. We also bounced from that naked monthly level down here with that push that we saw. But naked monthly level, that is not in our resistance. We have we already rejected from the weekly level, so we will actually delete that later. I won't do that during the video. And a daily level up there. So between like 393, 396, and like 401, 402, let's say, that's our box of resistance above, where it's highly likely that SUI continues pushing up to that resistance. Now, if we get up to that resistance, because we're breaking out of our bigger descending channel, there is a small probability that we do not react from this resistance and we keep breaking out up to our next area of resistance here, to our bigger value area high of our much larger range where we rejected last time, and we now have liquidity up there. Because anytime you break out of a descending channel that lasts this long, oftentimes you will kind of see a squeeze to at least come up and take out the liquidity of the second pivot, if not the liquidity of the entire channel. So I will be watching for local resistances above that $3.96 to $4 level. I will be looking for resistance here. That's where our golden pocket, our value area high, naked weekly point of control, daily level, a lot of resistance in this box. And if we come up there with bear divs locally, I will look for a short. I also want to see money flow topping out. So if we zoom on to the 4-hour chart, right now on the 4-hour chart, we could possibly be setting up for that. If you look here on the 4-hour chart, let me just get rid of these brushes. We do have a potential lower high momentum wave in the making here, which would mean lower highs in the momentum waves. And if we came up there, we'd have higher highs in the price action, and we'd want to see this money flow really starting to curve down here. So that is kind of what I'm looking at on SUI. Now, if we break above that level, if we break above this golden pocket value area high point of control, I think we're going to shoot up to take the liquidity at about 440, 444, 445. And that's where our macro value area high is. Let's look at the 1-hour chart. On the 1-hour chart, come on, load up here. Yeah, money flow has crossed over back into the green. Potential bear divs are forming right now locally on the 1-hour, but I do think we have higher. And if we look at money flow is always going to overpower one drive of bear divs. So money flow is both bullish on NAMI and market cipher B. So I expect SUI to continue pushing higher. Okay, let's go on to Say. Say here is bouncing from our pitchfork band of support. You can see we did reject kind of that 786. Yes, we wicked a little bit past the 786 and the top of the pitchfork. So I'll go ahead and get rid of that now because we've rejected from that. And we fell back inside our volume profile. The other major thing is this was an attempt to break out of our 3-4 month long range. It's about a 3.5 month long range here that we've been forming between the upper band of the pitchfork, of a bearish pitchfork, and the midline of a bearish pitchfork. So we've been forming this range between the two major pitchfork levels, and we rejected that upper band again, rejected an attempt to break out of that volume profile again. Well, the last time we did that, you saw a pretty significant drop. Did it, saw a drop. We attempted it, saw a drop, but we dropped to our lower band of support. And right now we are holding, and we did have nice 4-hour bull divs that were created today because of the FOMC meeting. We made a new low. So we had lower lows in the price action, higher lows in the momentum waves on both NAMI and market cipher B. And overall money flow does look, even though it's been draining out for about a week on the 4-hour, it's still healthily in the green. And so we got a nice bounce on the liquidity grab. You can see here, if we put on the lows from Monday, got that kind of SFP liquidity grab. It was, a little bit of higher time frame SFP, but we came down, grabbed that liquidity, and now we're pushing up with some nice impulsive imbalance candles here. So I expect this to at least come up to hit the value area high again, which is at 34.36. Now, if we take a golden pocket retracement and we look at the move down that we saw this week, we turn on our golden pocket. You can see, actually, it's going to be our 786 is going to be a better. That between the 786 and the value area high is that pitchfork band, and this could be a local resistance here. I am not really going to be trying to trade this. We could reject from it again and continue to chop around inside this band. But for me, I do think since we're bouncing from the lower band, I do think it's likely that we do continue and finally break this band to the upside that has been holding us down for months now. If we can break that to the upside, I expect this to move up to the top of the pitchfork, where we have a weekly level near the top of the pitchfork. And then, of course, we do have some resistance before that, being that daily level and that naked weekly point of control between 41.1 and 41.2, let's say. But really, that top of the pitchfork around that weekly is what I'd overall be looking at, and with some TP at this area just in case, and potential look for shorts. But SUI is we're still inside of this range. So remember, trade the range until it breaks. And we attempted to break out of the range and we fell back inside. So because we fell back inside, there is a potential that we do reject from this very local resistance and continue a three-wave corrective move down to our next level of support, which is the 786 retracement below in confluence with our point of control. And yeah, in confluence with the point of control. And then that could be that three-wave corrective move, and then we could get the push up. So I'm not interested in any trades, SUI on excuse me, unless we come down here with bull divs. I will look for a trade if we have continued bull divs coming down here, or if we come up to this box with local bear divs, I might attempt to short, but most likely I'm not going to. To me, there's better setups in the market, but just be aware that that's a resistance, a local resistance area above that we kind of marked out today with that new low. Okay, going on to XRP here. XRP is still kind of just ranging. Now, we talked about this in yesterday's live stream. We had our big descending channel here, and we bounced from the value area low of this range that goes back to July, to the mid-July, so about 2 months here. July, August, September. Yeah, so about 2 months here. We're breaking out of this 2-month corrective descending channel. And we talked about this yesterday in the live stream. We broke out of it. We'd front run our resistance above us. And then we came back for a bullish back test. So we came back tested the breakout of that channel. And now you can see very bullish momentum bouncing, reclaiming the point of control, back testing it as support, holding it as support. And now we're continuing to push higher here. So for me, XRP is actually looking pretty bullish here, even though, yes, we are potentially, if we come up to this area, we could have bear divs on the chart, just like just like SUI. Local resistance above could give us those bear divs, which would trigger a short position. But I do think XRP has the potential, actually the probability is on its side to at least continue up to our value area high of the range, which is also where your 786 is. You have your 786, you have your value area high, and I believe there is one other resistance there. There is going to be a, yeah, and by the way, we did bounce from that naked weekly point of control down here. There is going to be a weekly level was tapped. Okay, so yeah, just 786 and value area high up here that we could have a high probability of coming up there. Now, once we get up there, if we do reject the value area high again, then I do expect us to continue pushing back down to our next big level of support. And of course, this golden pocket would change if we make new highs. So we'll have to re-pull that golden pocket locally. But locally for me, I do think XRP is going to continue pushing higher. Let's go zoom out onto the 8-hour chart. On the 8-hour chart, you can see that XRP money flow looks pretty bullish here on Market Cipher B. On NAMI, it is a little bit in the red, but we did print that hidden bull div signal on Monday's lows. And that hidden bull div signal means that this overall pattern might continue. And also, if we're looking at this push up from the bottom on September 1st is a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4. We need one more high to make a 5-wave impulse, finish that 5th wave. Then you could get that bigger 3-wave correction and then continue pushing up in a bigger wave 3. So that is kind of what I'm looking at for XRP. Let's turn on our naked daily points of controls. Let's see. We have a new one. Yeah, so we do have a new naked daily point of control. It just closed, confirmed 36 minutes ago. And that naked daily point of control is going to be right around our range point of control. So now that we're closing the daily candle above that naked daily point of control, we can expect that to act as support if we do come down there. 2 point. Let me just throw this in my folder real quick. All right. But overall, XRP is looking bullish. If we zoom in onto the hourly chart, let's look at the hourly chart here. We might get a little bit of a pullback from the golden pocket, but Very nice bullish divs here. Lower lows in the price action, higher lows in the momentum waves. Now your money flow looked like garbage, but upon that second back test of the channel, you can see money flow started looking really good here. And NAMI, which is a bit faster, you with bull divs here, money flow is already curving to the upside on NAMI. So that is where NAMI can be really useful in that quicker money flow, less lag time to give you a better confirmation for the trade. Is kind of just still ranging within its range that it's been in for 2.5, 3 months. And we could even look at this range in here. So you could pull a volume profile if you're scalping XRP. I would pull this volume profile here and just trade this little local range until that breaks. So let's wait for that to load. Yeah, we're above the value area high of that local range. So I would expect us to keep pushing up here. Yes, you could look at also at your golden pocket of this last move down, which I do believe is what we're kind of running into right now. Yeah, we're running into the golden pocket right now. Could see a small pullback from this golden pocket. Now, if we do see a small pullback from this golden pocket, I still am going to be looking at that naked daily as a bounce level to continue up to our purple box of resistance above. Overall, I think that XRP is going to continue pushing higher. So that's it for XRP. Now let's go on lastly to Chainlink. Chainlink got a very nice bounce from our local support level. We talked about this on the stream yesterday. The SFP of our local range. So this is that local range that we were talking about, this upper range here. And, came into your value area low. We had our liquidity grab into the 786, into the value area low. This was the setup that we marked out on the stream on Tuesday. And came into that level. You could see we did have bull divs on the chart, lower lows on the price action, higher lows on the momentum waves, and our money flow had been nicely curving to the upside. Got a nice bounce, actually hitting support. Now, guys, I've talked about this all the time on the live streams and in these videos. Wait till your level actually gets to support, because if you would have longed here, put your stop above that, below that low, then you get this little bit push up rejection. You come down, stop yourself out, and then the move happens. So wait for the boxes to get hit. Wait for your actual levels to get hit. But we got that key internal liquidity grab into the value area low, and we are seeing a nice bullish reaction here, attempting to break above the pitchfork midline right now and flip it to support. If we can break above this local resistance, being the pitchfork midline, which is it's a big resistance, but it's local within this area. If we can break above this local resistance and flip it to support, then I expect us to continue pushing up to this box. Now, on Tuesday's live stream, I said we rejected from the golden pocket, which we did, but we did not actually hit the value area high or the weekly or grab that internal liquidity above that. So if we can break above this pitchfork midline, I do expect us to continue pushing higher to now grab the liquidity from last Friday's highs into our weekly, into our value area high, and this would still be acting as a resistance box for me, even though it's already been tapped. It was tapped because it was the golden pocket there, and we did hit that golden pocket. If we pull a golden pocket from the highs of the move down to the lows, you can see that our golden pocket was tapped, and that is why we looked at this golden pocket weekly value area high and liquidity. So we rejected the golden pocket, but now if we come up there again, because part of our resistance wasn't hit, being that value area high and that weekly, I am still saying it's a valid resistance above us. So we have to watch for this. And then if we form bear divs here on the charts, then I will be looking for a short position from that actual tap. So let's see here. Do we have potential for bear divs? Yes, we do. Now, locally on the bottom today, we had bull divs. You can see bull divs here. Very nice bull divs actually hitting into our support. That's another thing I want to discuss with you guys here is when we got that low a couple days ago on Monday on Chainlink, we did not have bull divs. Now, money flow still looked pretty good here, but we only had one momentum wave. We had very local bull divs on NAMI here, but we wanted to see some bull divs actually hitting into your support level. We didn't hit the support level. So we talked about small rejection from the pitchfork midline and to actually come down and hit that support level. We talked about this on Tuesday's stream yesterday. We came down, we formed the bull divs now because we did make a new low today. allowed another momentum wave that was higher than the last momentum wave, confirming bull divs, confirming multiple drives of bull div on NAMI, and money flow overall is still looking pretty healthy here. So we're getting a nice bounce with bull divs on the chart, confirmation to long. I did not long this. I was more focused on Ethereum. I did not long this. I longed Ethereum and what was the other one? Chainlink, not Chainlink. Ethereum and Solana. Solana was the one that I longed. So we are bouncing from that level. I expect that we could come up to this area here. We're at the pitchfork resistance though, so be aware if we do reject from this resistance, I do think we will continue pushing down here and actually pushing down to our major support below us. And I talked about that major support on yesterday's live stream. If you want to learn more about that, because I do think it is potential still that we're going to see a 3-wave corrective move here to come down to our backtest, bullishly backtest our macro value area high of our 2-year long range. And we want to see that 3-wave corrective move. Now, within a 3-wave corrective move, a bigger A, B, C, or WXY, you want to see a 5-wave impulse down. You want to see a local 3-wave move up to hit that weekly to take out that liquidity, and then another impulse down, another 5-wave impulse down, giving you your bigger 3-wave corrective move. So potential that we could come up and tap this weekly and grab the liquidity at $26, but I still will be looking for short positions if we are making bearish divs in between last Friday's high and the new high that could be made in the next couple of days. And the reason why is because look at this bear div that is formed on the chart with money flow draining out of the asset as this range has been forming, this upper range has been forming. Bear divs, money flow draining out of the asset, crossing into the red on the 12-hour. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for Chainlink. If we break above $26, I do think we're going to shoot up to that $29 area, the next weekly level, $29.25. But really, I would be looking for, if we're going to truly break above this pitchfork midline, ultimately breaking up to this purple box up here, where we have a weekly at 33.77, let's say, in confluence with your upper band of the pitchfork. Yes, we would probably see some small stops along the way, maybe rejection, come back, back test, rejection, come back, back test, and then come up here and then maybe see a bigger drop. So that's it for today, guys. Please like the video if you got any insight into the market. Please share the video with anyone you might find useful. And I will be streaming tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you then. Have a good night.